Hi guys, here we are with Josh. Tell us about yourself.
Hi, my name is Josh Puddle. I'm one of the co-founders of Momo Kombucha, which I started with my wife back in 2018. So we're just coming up for our fifth year birthday. We are trying to produce the UK's best tasting and highest quality kombucha. And to do that, we essentially stick to the homemade method of production. So everything's fermented in a small glass jar, about that big. It's completely unfiltered, so we keep all the live cultures in the liquid, giving it a much fuller depth of flavor. And also, we're certified organic, so better for you and better for the environment. We've currently got four core flavors. We've got a ginger lemon, turmeric, elderflower, and raspberry hibiscus. And then you might have seen some of the limited editions that we do through the year. So we've just done a seasonal watermelon kombucha, which sadly that season is now over. So we've got none left in the brewery, but that was very tasty indeed.
Excellent. So good food is.
Well, good food is tasty first and foremost. I would describe myself as a massive foodie. So going on holiday for me, it's all about where we're gonna eat. I love discovering new things. I love discovering products and produce where the people behind it are super passionate. Generally, I think organic is better. Not always. There are some amazing small scale farmers out there that aren't organic, but generally I would try and go for organic, and definitely natural, not ultra processed.
Excellent. And what got you into the independent food industry?
Well, the story behind Momo, my wife and I actually discovered kombucha on a trip to New York, which was back in 2016. We were going there on holiday. On the plane, she was telling me about gut health, which at the time I'd never heard of. And she said there's this product in the States called kombucha. It's really, really nice. So when we got to the States, as you do, we went to a Whole Foods, really impressive stores over there, and we walked in, and kombucha was the biggest soft drinks category, kind of meters wide fridge, floor to
Okay.
ceiling, loads of brands, loads of flavors. We loved the stuff. We couldn't believe it barely existed in the UK. So when we came back to London, we started brewing our own, and then eventually launched the business from our kitchen in Southeast London.
Excellent. And what's the high points and low points so far in the business?
The high point, I would say, or certainly one of the biggest highs, was when we got our first ever stockist, which was a place called Guzzle in Brixton
Oh wow.
Village. Shout out to Andy who said yes. And it was a funny story because when I first started talking to him, his first words were, "Oh, not another bloody kombucha," because he already had five in his fridge, and this is a very, very small shop. What he didn't know was I just spent 2 whole years working on it, so we were definitely all in. But I'm pleased to say that 5 years in, we're still in his fridge, and we're now
Great.
the only kombucha in his fridge. So yeah, that really was a high that will stay with me. In terms of low, it was definitely about 9 months in when we were moving the business out of the house into our first premises, and I definitely was burnt out. And I had 3 weeks, which I can remember very clearly. It was incredibly unpleasant, barely sleeping, felt incredibly ill, and had this constant feeling of, oh no, what on earth have I done by taking this leap?
Excellent. Interestingly, Andrew did 7 questions for retailers the other day, so that's a nice little link there. So that's
Oh,
good.
nice. I'll
Yeah.
definitely watch that.
And
I hope he gave us a shout out.
yeah, I've got maybe. Um, and also, yeah, Mum moved from a factory. We moved from home to a factory, then from another factory to another factory, and it is, and all the planning and everything you think is perfect, and then, all of a sudden it was very stressful, very stressful.
Yeah, and it was the first time we were really shelling out a lot of money. And at the time, the business was so small, it barely existed. And I guess the bottom line was I was, mostly trying to do everything myself. had the support of Lisa, but we just taken too much on. And yeah, it was a very, very low time.
What one thing would you do differently if you could start again?
So it's a bit of a cliche, but I always say most of the mistakes I feel like were important ones to make because they taught us something and they've got us to where we are. Having said that, choosing Squarespace over Shopify was a big mistake. And I definitely wish we'd gone with Shopify from the start. And I think our kind of online D2C business would probably be much further ahead than where it is now. And another big one was we registered, we put the trademark registration in for Momo Kombucha with the government before we got the domain name. And unbeknownst to me, there are these kind of Chinese robots who are sourcing the trademark sites and then jumping on the domain name. So someone then tried to sell us Momo Kombucha for $9,000, which we said no to because we didn't have any money. And that's hence why we're Momo-Kombucha, which still slightly annoys me to this day.
Fair enough. Oh, yeah, the website, the side of life. So what one bit of advice were you given at the start that you would disagree with and one that you'd stand by?
So as I mentioned at the beginning, we essentially brew the kombucha the homemade way in small glass jars, and pretty much everyone outside of kombucha told me not to do this, and it was a terrible idea, and we'd never be able to scale it, which I can totally see where they were coming from. But we always had this really, really strong view that we wanted to make the best quality stuff, and we felt like that was a really, really important part of the process. So I think they were wrong, and I'm glad we stuck to our guns. And actually, the bit of advice which I stand by, which everyone also said, was they said, focus on the product. And starting a food business is incredibly difficult. It's so competitive, and if you've got a really, really good product, you're not guaranteed success, but your chance of kind of making it and growing and becoming sustainable is just so much higher. So that we've always had a focus on the product from the start, which is, I think, really, really key advice, and too many people forget it.
No, absolutely. So it was interesting, again, referencing Mum twice today, patchwork. Mum started making pate in small saucepans, and we ended up building a kitchen in a commercial kitchen that still cooked in small 4-pound saucepans. And at one point, we ended up with 32 saucepans cooking in 4-pound batches.
Wow!
But we kept everything. And it was a tough job, man. Because we were doing 10, 12 runs a day.
I bet, yeah.
And cooking all these livers, but we wanted to keep the process the same because that's what produced the quality of the pate that was being made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, at the start as well, it was, I would do a brew and it would be 15 glass jars that I was filling, and now the guys will do 400 in a day. So we need to go much bigger than that, but it makes it a fun challenge.
Nice. What food brand do you admire and why?
So the brand I really admire is a brand called Natura. So they're a food wholesaler, predominantly fruit and veg, and they go all across the world trying to find the very best farmers who are really taking care of the soil. They care about the environment. They care about how they farm. A lot of the time, they're using really kind of old-fashioned, small-scale techniques. They're really, really pushing seasonality. So they have this amazing community where people just get incredibly excited by the newly seasonal fruit and veg. And we've actually been fortunate enough that we've done a couple of our collaborations with them. And earlier this year we did a forced rhubarb. I've actually got a bottle here. Mm-hmm. And we went up to visit a farmer called Robert Tomlinson up in Yorkshire, and he's one of the few remaining kind of forced rhubarb farmers up there that sticks to this really kind of old-fashioned way of producing it. And I don't know if you know anything about it, but they essentially harvest it in the dark by candlelight, in
Wow.
these forcing sheds, which are absolutely beautiful because you have these amazing pink stems of the rhubarb and it's bright green and, really, really hard work. But he was, incredibly passionate about it. He taught us the process. I think he's fourth generation, so it was his, great grandfather. And yeah, a really, really big fan of what Natura do. It's a fantastic company.
I've got quite a big farming background, and I don't think many people realize quite how important timing of the day, temperature, to do with sugar levels, and when you cut products, and the different taste you can get from literally harvesting at different times.
Yeah, it's and they, they're the stuff they sell is it's unapologetically expensive because you really realize how much has gone into it, and they get people really excited by the produce. So even my wife recently, she'll have these big, to buy this big tomato, but it's like the front and center main part of her meal.
Amazing.
And you just get incredibly excited about tomato. It's really, really nice business.
But I've always said, if something costs a little bit more than everything else, or even a lot more than everything else, as long as it delivers, 100%. It's fine. Is what you don't want is to spend, 30-40% above what you think, and then get home and it just be okay. As long as it's amazing and there's a bit of story. I've spoke to a few people in these interviews where adding the story to the product actually enhances the enjoyment.
I mean 100%. And I mean Momo, we're one of, if not the most expensive kombuchas, but again, when you look into how it's made and that kind of labor intensive process and the ingredients that we use, people accept that, and they're they are getting a fantastic product. So yeah, totally agree.
Love it. Naughty food secret.
So there's a bakery that's actually just opened up near me. It's called Maya's Bakehouse, and she actually started. She was baking at home during lockdown, so we would go and pick up our baked goods every Saturday. And she does these salted chocolate cookies that I have they're just insanely good, and I can demolish them. And I'll always try and save them, but I come down in the morning, and if there's one there, it's just demolished before I've even made my cup of tea.
People don't realize how much food talks to me either. I get those. Catford Bakery, I bought some salted caramel brownies off her the other day, and 4 of those arrived in the post, and I've eaten 3 of them. And if you ask me to sort of take a brain rest for a minute, all I can hear is the brownie wrapped on the bit of paper still sat on the middle of the kitchen table. Marcus, you still haven't eaten me. I almost had to drown it out. Love it. Amazing, Josh. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, no problem at all.
Really great to hear about that, and some great advice in there for other food brands as well. So thank you for that.
I hope so. Yeah. Cheers, Marcus.
Cheers. Thank you.